Hi, guys. So when I start out the traditional semester in a physical classroom, I often have a Play Doh lesson for my writing students. And even though we can't physically open Play Doh and play with it around in class, I still wanted to share some of the ideas with you. So, the first thing to think about is how creating something from Play Doh is a lot like writing. So, you open up the can and you smell that weird kind of scent, but what you do naturally is you play with your material and see what it can do. That's really important when you start writing assignments as well, because it's all about ideas at the beginning of the game. There's some other things that connect to writing as well. Um, Creating was fun. It wasn't stressful. It was just about all of the ideas and seeing what you could do. Sometimes you would grab additional tools and materials like a rolling pin or a cookie cutter to see what else you could create to enhance the product. But there wasn't a time limit, and it was all about the possibilities that were there, and it wasn't intimidating. You just gave it a try. So that's really important for us to keep in mind as we do our writing assignments. I think it's so important to spend some time exploring ideas. Remember, it's called brainstorming, not brain drizzle. And when you get an assignment, force yourself, think all about options. And then spend some time pulling apart the options as you decide your vision for the piece. Once you have that vision, how are you going to develop it? Revision is a part of the writing process as well, and in playing with Play Doh. And when you played with Play Doh, the revision possibilities were endless. How could you improve it? A lot of times in writing, people ignore this step, and that's really the heavy lifting, what matters the most once you have a draft completed. It might be, how can I improve this conclusion or the organization? Now, editing involves the smaller fix ups, the fine tuning, and then publishing is simply sharing with others. It's really important to note that the writing process is not linear in nature, excuse me, but it's recursive. You go back and forth. So sometimes I brainstorm a lot at the beginning, but I also might need to do it at the end when I'm looking at revision and seeing how can I make this better. Sharing also could come right at the beginning, as you'll be doing with some of your brainstorming, and not just at the end. So, the different phases of the writing process, which once again are recursive in nature, the brainstorming, drafting, when you commit to a topic and you're going to finish it through, revision, looking at something again. Research says you need a 48 to 72-hour break between drafting and revision to see the big pieces that need fine tuning, and we'll work that into our process this semester too. Editing is smoothing out the rough edges. In Play-Doh, it's the cracks that are there. You smooth out with your finger. That's what you're doing with editing. It's just the little fine-tuning fix-ups. And then, of course, publishing is sharing with others. As we proceed then with our first big assignment in the class, remember that we won't, even though we're all creating a graphic member, we will all take different pathways to this. So we won't all brainstorm the same way. You have options in this, and you may need to brainstorm again as you're drafting the piece. Once you kind of get your writing process down for this work, remember that next time when we do informational writing assignments, the process may end up being different for that, and you kind of have to be okay with it and just adjust to what you need and the piece needs to be effective. And the last thing we're going to end up with is this notion of creator versus critic. Creator is all about the brainstorming, possibilities, ideas. So think of the Play Doh lesson when you do that. And then the critic has to come in at some part because you're judging ideas against one another and you're really seeing how to enhance the piece. For this writing assignment, we'll have two options for brainstorming, the story life map or the biograph, and we'll explore those in a different screencast.